So without further of lagging, let's just go ahead. I will stop in between if anyone wants to ask anything, and if you want to share your opinion as well, you free feel free to share. And 1 second. Recently got certified as a couple therapist in this. Yes, we have this one, and there are more workshops that is related to couple therapists. And if you want, you can contact ma'am as well for more information on how to go ahead with couples therapy so that you can get more insight. And I hope this workshop is helpful. So, moving on, what exactly is breakup counseling and why do people actually look forward for it? So, obviously, therapy can play an essential role in helping clients manage the grief and the associated extreme emotions they struggle to cope with. And breakup counseling can offer you a safe space to work through these experiences that you have had following the separation and get over it. Now, counseling can help you realize your emotions and reactions to the breakup and learn to manage and cope with them. Now, when if we take a close relationship that ends, that is the breakup, it doesn't just hurt your heart, but it also affects your brain as well. The reason we go into that a lot because us as psychologists, we need to also understand to why the client is working in another way. Uh, yes, you can check out a YouTube channel to see the recording of this workshop if you want to refer or share it with someone. So, if we take breakup, it lights up the same parts of the brain that are active when someone is going through withdrawal from a drug. That's why breakups can be painful, almost like a very physical pain, and why they can affect your mood, energy, and daily life. Now, everyone deals with breakups differently, but for some people, the pain can be so strong that it usually starts affecting their work or their friendships or their just overall well-being. So if you are with associated with a friend who went to break up and they just don't listen to you, you'll be like, why are they reacting in this way? And now you know why, and you'll be knowing more about how to help them out with. So counseling doesn't just make the sadness disappear instantly because we aren't like the counselors aren't the ones who generally fix the problem. We just help you guide through the problem. It's basically giving you tools and support to handle those emotions and help you heal in a healthy way. And it also guides you through the grieving process so that you feel better and you look forward for a new and happier chapters in your life. That is what counselors do. We don't go like you do this, you do that, you'll get over X. That doesn't isn't the way it works. Now, some may think, how, like, what are my signs or what are my friends' signs? Even they go like, oh, it's just a breakup. It's fine. I can get over it. It's just a usual thing. So, for those kinds of people, or if you yourself are one of those type of people, here are some common signs or symptoms you can say that you can look into. And this is very layman since it's something we all know of, but I'll just give a brief just in case someone out there needs it. Now, most breakups they lead to emotional and psychological distress than that an individual experiences. After like ending a romantic relationship or heartbreak or love breakups, they're like different types of breakups. And some signs would be intense emotions where they go through a breakup and they experience intense emotions like sadness, anger, and anxiety, be it by for themselves or for the other person. Second is difficulty with daily activities. They can't do like work, or if it's like a very school breakup and you're a parent and you want to understand what, like, if you have an open communication with your child and then you know they're with the breakup, so why is it affecting their school life? So that is one reason. Household chores due to their emotional distress, etc. Then there's social withdrawal. Many people withdraw themselves from social activities or isolate themselves from friends and family because they feel that going through a breakup is one of the major reasons why nobody wants to be with them, or they just don't want to answer the questions to what led to the end of the relationship. The negative self-talk is where people engage in a self-blaming, for like blaming themselves for the end of the relationship or feeling unworthy of love. Rumination is where um they experience breakup issues, and they also often replay the relationship in their minds and finding different reasons to why did that relationship end, or is it their fault, how could they work it through, why did it not work out. So that just keeps on replaying. And lastly is a very common factor, that is sleep disturbances. You can't fall asleep, you just want to sleep, or you may experience nightmares related to the breakup if it's like a very traumatic abusive breakup. So that could cause nightmares, or you just want to distance yourself, so you end up staying asleep, or you just very overwhelmed and you feel restless and you want to fix everything, so that's when you find difficulty in falling asleep. So be it just like a relationship breakup or like a love breakup, both have different reasons. It has a significant impact on a person's mental and emotional well-being. And when these individuals they seek support and care from friends and family or a consultant, basically like an online therapist in India or somewhere else, they can be beneficial in processing feelings related to the breakup, because usually people just, okay, it's done, I am sad, I need to move on. They don't reciprocate their feelings, which usually continues to the next relationship that they're going to build, and it's just going to be very repetitive. Now, if someone aren't like okay with an offline therapy, there are many online therapy for breakups, and people can help you navigate the challenges of it, like how to feelings of grief and loss, how to deal with the anger, the guilt, and the low self-esteem that just builds up over a period of time. And appropriate counselors and support from a breakup therapist can assist individuals to like learn or heal and basically move on from a relationship in a very healthy manner. Until here, does anyone have anything to ask or add? Okay, I'm assuming no. Moving on are some myths and facts about breakup. Now, everyone believes that it's an end of a relationship, so it should be terrible and painful, like that person they are supposed to cry and just be in sadness throughout. Honestly, breakups can be difficult and emotionally challenging, but it's not necessary that they should be having a terrible experience for it. Sometimes it can be necessary step towards personal growth and more fulfilling life. And if you face a difficulty moving on, you can seek help from a counselor for the end of the relationship. Second is, if a relationship ends, it means it was a failure. Relationships, they can end for a variety of reasons, and not only all of them have to do with the success or failure of the relationship. It's possible for two people to have a successful and meaningful one, as well as that simply runs its course and comes to an end. And this is not only for like a romantic one, it can also happen with a friendship one. So it can be any sort of relationship, even like with a parent, with a loved one, or with a friend. Any sort of relationship, it doesn't mean it ends, so it's a failure. It has a reason for its ending. Then the third one is, the person who initiates the breakup doesn't feel any pain. Just because someone initiates a breakup doesn't mean they don't feel any pain. In fact, the decision to end a relationship can be just as difficult and emotionally challenging as being on the receiving end of a breakup. Now, consulting an online counselor for a breakup can make things easier, but also understanding, or like if you're telling to a friend that they don't feel any pain just to create a very negative idea about the other person to get over them, and telling that they don't care about it, so why should you care? For a reason they broke up, it is very painful for them to even initiate the entire idea of it. So it's not that they don't feel any pain, they are also grieving just like you. Then comes, you should try to get back together with your ex at all costs. Now, while it's natural to feel a desire to reconcile with an ex partner, it's not always the healthiest choice. Sometimes it's important to acknowledge the reasons why the relationship didn't work out and move on, especially the ones where are very abusive or manipulative and you got out of it because you know it is not healthy for you. But obviously, since you've been so involved in it that you feel it's the wrong choice, but with the appropriate help with your counselors or friends who are good with support, make sure that you realize or you acknowledge the importance to the entire reason to why it did not work out in the first place. And a bonus myth is that it's best to cut all contact with your ex after a breakup. So while it's important to take some time and space to process the breakup, cutting off all contact with ex isn't always necessary or even advisable. Depending on the circumstances of the breakup, it may be possible to maintain a friendship, and sometimes it may not be. So while you do your self care, self respect, yourself, the therapy, sometimes you that like after you build yourself up, you know what you want, you know what you don't want, you understand the difference between healthy and a toxic relationship. That's when you decide if it's the right option to go back being friends or restarting the relationship, etc. That's your call in the end of the day, but before that, try to introspect the entire on how you felt when you were in the stage of being with them. Now, the relationship grief process, or the grief and depression part of the relationship. So when a relationship ends, it's normally it's very normal to feel sad because it's something that has been ended. And this sadness is called grief. Now, grief is the heart's way of reacting to the loss of someone important, like a breakup. And over time, it usually fades as slow, like when you slowly adjust your life without that person. But sometimes, for some people, when it's like a long term um, relationship that had to come to an end, that sadness doesn't go away, or the feels of it is heavier and more constant. That's when the sadness, basically the grief, can turn into depression. Now, depression is different from grief because it's just not about missing someone, but it also comes with deep feelings of hopelessness, low energy, or negative thoughts that stick around even when time passes. So, people who are rejected in a relationship, or they are the people who are left behind, are more likely to experience depression compared to the ones who ended the relationship. And this is not really generalized statement. It again differs differently for every individual, because some may fall into depression because they are ending the relationship for a major reason and they don't want to hurt the significant other, or the one who has been left behind, they might take the end of the relationship as a plus point and work on themselves. So it's not really necessary that whoever is been broken up, all of them have to go into depression. That is very generalized. They will feel sadness, they will feel grief, but going into depression, there are chances for some, but not for all. And this is because rejection can hurt self esteem and make emotional recovery slower, which leads to more anxiety, emotional pain, and even irritability. And for those who have difficulty in dealing with these sorts of emotions, there are high chances they can fall into depression, but again, it's not necessary. Now, with this, we go with 5 stages of grief and cycle. So, first one is denial. It can be challenging to face a reality that a relationship is over, that and clients may logically understand that okay, this relationship is over, breakup has happened, but I don't want to believe it that it has ended. And they just have like this small hope that maybe it will work out. Maybe if I like talk more or like fight for it more, it will work out. But these denials, they become a very powerful coping mechanism, and it can ultimately stop the individual from like moving on. That would go into anger. So feeling angry towards the ex partner or even at life itself, like it's very common. You just go like, I did not deserve this. What have I done? I did a lot for them. Or why are they ending with me? They were so nice, etc., etc. So they just get very angry, like it was all good, why suddenly? And it is a part of the grieving process while coming to terms with what has changed. And a client's anger may even be directed at themselves, where they are frustrated and annoyed at what they did or they didn't do while the couple were together. Then comes bargaining. Whether it's realistic or not, the client may look for ways to save what has already ended, including appealing to a higher power, changing how they treat their partner, attempting to convince them that the situation has changed, and even making threats. So maybe the positive outlook would be like going to them constantly, trying to reach them out. Can we talk? Can we talk? I I can say that maybe most of you all have seen your friends or you yourselves go to your ex or like an ex friend, if you can also say, and go like, let's talk, we can fix this. There, we are meant for each other, and all those lines has been told just to bargain them back. And then you have seen in movies how there are these guys or girls who go like, I'll kill myself because the relationship ended, I can't live without you. So all these statements, they are a form of grief, which is basically the stage of bargaining. Then comes depression, which we had talked about earlier, where the client feels very hopeless, or they have poor sleep pattern, or they turn into excessive eating, or maybe they go towards substance abuse like alcohol, smoking, etc. So they are most likely at their lowest point, and they may need a necessary support to find a way to see the potential for a new life at the end of this phase of a dark tunnel. And lastly, that's like to a very extreme side of the grief. And the positive side would be the acceptance, where they face what has happened and they try to create a new situation where they're potentially still facing strong and difficult emotions, including like regret, and they accept the new reality and begin to move forward with their lives. So, in time and possibly with support from others, the individual's life or like each stage usually passes and moves on to the next. However, some individuals, they may slip back, they return to earlier stages of grief, potentially like several times depending on their situation. But it's fine if you relapse on that, but also figure out different ways, which I'll be talking further on how you can have a positive attitude to it to come back to who you want to be and how to create your new reality. Until here, does anyone have any questions or something you want to ask, add your own opinions? You can speak or write it down in the chat box. Anything works. Okay. So I shall move on then. So the positive attitude from breakup. So you may usually not feel anything positive because it's a very sad thing. So why would you, like, you got separated about from something, and you can recover and even come back stronger after you have processed what has actually happened, basically when you come to an acceptance of it. Now, learning from your experience can make you wiser, and it would just leave you with more of positive and gives you a better future and new relationships. Like in future, it gives you better relationships. And by working through your emotions following the breakup, counseling can support you towards a happier and a very positive future. So, what emotions can breakups or separation trigger? Now, first would be trauma, where breakups or separations are not to be underestimated. They can be experienced as a trauma, consequently, a reactions to them are trauma reactions. So, if it's like a very like a toxic relationship, that's when you look into the trauma aspect. Negative physical reactions like kept on being repeated, which was sleeping, eating, can occur as physical pains or maybe headaches, sweating, etc. So they are also a host of emotional responses that come up with trauma reactions, from distortion or hyper alertness, mood swings, isolation, detaching yourselves. So all these come from the types of separation which were very abusive or toxic or very manipulative that you weren't aware of but finally got out of it. So even when you know that the relationship needed to end, when it was the right thing and you feel happier, there is still grief for what is lost. Then comes grief, which we kept on talking on, that the end of the relationship is the death of something, and therefore one of the responses is to grieve. And even when you know the relationship needed to end, when that would make you feel happy, it just makes you feel strange and as if it's wrong to grieve something you know you don't want, but in fact that is very normal. And this can also be the case of relationship, if it was abusive or negative in any way, and there has still been a loss, and this loss needs to be processed along with everything else. This would also cause a state of confusion because you're separating yourself away from someone on like temporary basis or like in a rush, or there's a result of events and feelings that can leave you feeling confused and spinning, like what do I do, what is right, what is wrong, how do I feel about this person, is it the right thing that I did? So there will be like a state of confusion about the entire decision. So grieving the relationship or the person you have lost, the person you thought you were with them, the future that now looks different, it gives you a state of confusion. Then comes stuckness. So, although not a real world, this conjures the sense of what is common feeling when it comes to relationships. So, in regards to a potential separation or ending of a relationship, it can be because of feeling trapped or stuck or weighed down. And where is this going? Is it going anywhere? These things that feel repetitive and basically on a loop. These are some questions that comes in your mind in a loop, on and on and on. And it can be also sense of feeling stuck in yourself, so in regards to who you are and what you want, because of not knowing on how you feel about yourself, you therefore don't know how you feel about the relationship in general. And obviously you've been with a lot of like confusion, grief, trauma, so there's like a stuckness, there's a lot of emotions all at once, which causes a roller coaster of emotions. You feel angry, you feel guilt, maybe you feel freedom, or you feel relief, joy because you wanted to leave. So the end of the relationship can bring a huge range of emotions, but it can also make you feel a sense of being unable to cope, and as though you are reaching a breaking point because of trying to deal not only with the emotional trauma of the breakup but also with the practical side of it. Like, what do I do after all this? So, be it you being a male or a female, separation can make you feel powerless because it's something you hold, and it would leave with a sense that you don't have a voice, that you aren't being heard. And this can be in relation to the relationship itself, that the person and the past, or it can be in the way of the ending or how it has been handled and your feelings about it on how things have ended. Now, here are some activities that I will be suggesting on post breakup recovery kind of activities. So before I move on to that, does anyone want to ask anything regarding what I've talked until now, be it the stages of grief or grief and depression or the myths that we've been talking about, or the looking to the positive attitude or the emotions that help trigger everything? I know most of it sounds very layman, they sound very repetitive because that we all are humans, we all have at least one or two ways of going, but it's usually the same or a different pathway. So it may sound something that, oh, I already know, but when it comes to the point of helping someone, you just go blank and you don't know what to do, how to talk to them, how can I help them. So there'll be like a lot of doubts and questions that you yourself don't know how to help them with. Or for yourself, you go like, I can deal with it, but when it's time, you just don't know how to do it. Okay, so we go with the exercises. First one is spotting patterns through journaling and reframing our negative thoughts. So, if you are trying to move on or cope with intrusive negative thoughts after breakup, here are some things that can help you out. So, first is like uh, when you are sad, like obviously you're sad after the breakup, your mind can create negative thoughts like I'll be alone forever or nobody will love me again, etc. Writing these thoughts down in a journal can help you spot your patterns. So, like, once you notice these thoughts, you can reframe them, meaning you can change the thought into something more balanced and kind. Like, instead of saying, maybe like if I say I'll be single forever, try saying I might be single for a while and that's okay. So it's more calmer in your mind and it's more realistic, so you can look forward on how to utilize being single and work on yourself. And you can also practice refocusing when you try to think about your ex. So you shift your focus to yourself instead and ask questions like maybe, what am I doing right now? Or who else can I connect with today? So this basically will help you by reminding you of the good things and the people that are still around you. So this exercise basically is just to help you understand what you're feeling, not feeling, the negative thoughts that you're feeling, on how to not go in a negative route but change it to a positive route by you yourself rephrasing those statements, so that you don't just be stuck in the loop of denial or want to go back for bargaining with a person. So when you think of your ex, you want to go back to them, try to journal it down or voice it out by yourself. If you don't feel like writing, you can talk it to yourself by saying, so So what I want to go back to them, but what can I do to not think about them? So in that sense, you can divert your mind. Now, second exercise would be on understanding how your thoughts, feelings, and actions are all connected, especially when you're going through tough emotions like after breakup. So first one, basically first thing, you draw three triangles. It's not necessarily needs to be neat or tidy. However you're comfortable with, draw three triangles. So the first triangle is your current state. You can write your thoughts on that you're having right now, basically like I'm feeling very alone. So that might be your current thought, and your feelings that you're experiencing, maybe by saying I feel sad, or I feel lonely, or I feel anxious. So those are your feelings. And third is behaviors, basically your the actions you're doing, like you're avoiding people, you're overthinking, you're self-isolating. So these are your current state. So let's just say you go with the first triangle. That's all the thoughts you or feelings or behaviors that you're doing currently, like right now. Then the second triangle would be your ideal state, where the thoughts you want to have, like let's just say you this feeling will pass and I'll meet new people, I'll create a new identity for myself to grow. So that is your ideal state. That's what you want to have. And your feelings could be like what you wish to feel. So you want to feel hopeful, you want to feel strong, or maybe you want to feel powerful. So that's self developing yourself on what how you want to look yourself at in the future, and or how you want to cope. And lastly would be your behaviors on what you want to practice. So it can be reaching out to friends, taking care of yourself, or diverting by learning a new activity. So all these are like your ideal state on what you want to do and how you can go, like what are the things you can do to feel that. Lastly is what's holding you back. So these are the thoughts or beliefs that block you from reaching your ideal state, meaning the negative thoughts that you keep on talking, like I'm not good enough, I will be alone, etc. So these feelings that you can also write down the feelings that trap you, all your fears, all your self doubts, all your overthinking thoughts. So, all these trap you. So, what is trapping you? You can write that down. And the actions or habits that stop your progress. So, remember in the 5 stages of grief, I told that there are chances that individuals can relapse. So, in that sense, the habits that you go back to, maybe like isolating or replaying old memories, etc., all these you need to write it down. So with this small activity, it's a lot time taking, but it will help you understand your feelings rather than just ignoring it, and it will help you not repeat it with the new relationship that you build. So once you have filled these out, you'll start seeing the gap between where you are, where you want to be, and most importantly, what's getting in your way. And this helps you realize that you can take small steps towards changing your feelings and actions. Now, lastly, would be embark your journey with confidence. We just until now it's all do this, do that. So let's just take a small example. Just imagine someone who went through a breakup, they feel lost. They think that I'm not good enough and I'll never find love again. Through counseling, they begin to understand that these are just painful thoughts, not facts. And the counselor will help them reframe this thinking into something more positive, like I'm feeling hurt right now, but this won't last forever. And I can use this time to focus on myself and grow. And a counselor will also help you in like help you in making you realize on how to develop different coping strategies, or how to rebuild your self-esteem and identity. Like when relationship ends, questioning your self-worth and identity, or the sense of self was closely tied to the partnership. So the counselors work to help you rebuild that self-esteem, helping you rediscover your interest, or they navigate you through the grief by understanding your feelings. Because in the end of the day, you need to introspect the emotions that you're feeling. So by the help of a counseling support, you acknowledge the pain of loss while guiding you through these stages of grief at your own pace. And after the breakup, it basically post breakup, they help you understand the healthy boundaries, how you, whether they wouldn't directly tell it to you, but they face in words in such a way that you understand whether you have to maintain a distance from your ex partner or not, and how you can navigate your future relationships. So counseling offers consistent support and understanding from someone who's outside your immediate circle, providing an objective perspective that friends or family may not be able to offer. And this support is crucial in moments of loneliness or when you need someone to talk to without any judgment. And with that, I can say that if you're going through a difficult breakup, I'm sorry first. And also want to say, remember that reaching out for counseling isn't a sign of weakness, but a brave step towards healing and creating a brighter, healthier future. With this, we come to an end of the workshop. Um, Before I show the next slide on what all workshops are coming up, I'll just take some quick questions. So if anyone has any questions, please write in the chat so I can read one by one and answer them. So one of the question is, when a person is in a sensitive state, how can they understand their weak points to work on? So obviously in a sensitive state, they try to isolate themselves. They think very negative. The first thing what they could do, or you could suggest, if they want to hear on solutions, first you ask them, do you want to hear solutions, or do they just want a person to hear you out? Because not everyone wants solutions, they just want a hearing, or like hearing friend, a support. So during that time, the more they talk, the more they tell things on how they felt, or uh, just express themselves, they hear themselves that time, and slowly they will understand that the other person was at wrong, or the relationship wasn't just good, or they would just hear themselves out and figure out, okay, fine, this is what has been happening, and this is how I can go into. And when they ask you for solutions, you can try giving like a slow, like a small step by step activities for them to get through the breakup by diverting themselves, talking about the things that they used to do when they were single, or how they were, just like showing how they were when they were single, so that they can understand that it's not all over, it's not the end of the day, and they can collect themselves up by doing small things that makes them feel worth it. So for example, let's just say they like to eat a lot, they like food, they like exploring different types of cuisines. So the first step could be dressing up, going to that place alone or with a friend if they want a friend, and trying out a cuisine or trying out a different activity all alone, to feel a sort of independency, because they just got out of being co-independent with another person. So I hope that answered your question. Deepika ma'am, did that answer your question? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, I got that. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I'm glad that answered your question. So like there are some breathing techniques. The I'm so sorry.
Deep breathing in and
Yes.
out and
Deep
counting.
breathing. Yes, yes. Deep breathing in and out. I'm really sorry. Deep breathing in and out, so that they just catch their breath and they um can just recollect themselves to also calm the entire body down, because it's in a very high it's in a very high sensitive mode. So to just regulate your emotions yourself, breathing is really important. And you can say some statements like, um, whatever they're feeling is very valid. It's a genuine response to how you're feeling, and you can just sit with it for a moment. It's not necessary that you need to explain yourself. If they want to, they can. And just let them know that there's no judgment going around you. You care about them and you're there to support. And if you want to get them back to the present, they're like feeling very anxious and you feel that they may go into a state of panic attack or like an anxiety attack because it's too overwhelming for them, you try to get them to focus on the present, like right now, who they are with, what they have to do after, like, maybe if it's like dinner time, what is there to eat, what's the time, what's the date. So just getting them into the present so that they don't go into a state of having an anxiety attack or a panic attack. So just try to reassure them with statements or like anything that you may know that can comfort them. The tone, your body language, everything is very important, and the words you choose is important. So maybe like a slow speech, or you also breathing with them to calm down their breathing, and having like a very open posture can help your words feel even more reassuring. So that answered your question, sir. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm assuming not. If anyone has, you can feel free to talk text ma'am, and she can help you out with more. We have more workshops coming up. The next one is on 22nd, which is healing through grief, a therapeutic intervention activities for emotional processing. So you could say that it's more like a follow up workshop for this workshop. It's just like a part two for grief counseling, or like breakup counseling, or any sort of counseling. So if you are interested, please join that workshop as well. And with that, you can take a screenshot to join our future workshops. All of them are helpful. And thank you so much for joining today's workshop. And if anyone wants, are yet to um, get into if anyone wants certificate or want more resources, be it with grief counseling or breakup counseling or any worksheets you need, you can register with a certificate, and the documents, the basically the resources along with the certificate is just for 59 rupees. So it's a very affordable, and it's for lifetime. So please do enroll in that if interested. And thank you for joining. I hope this session was something you all were looking forward for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye bye. Have a nice day.